The Walker Dominion had subjugated 1,000 planets. They had obliterated fleets, incinerated societies, and compelled entire species to yield. When their Supreme War Council gathered to discuss the looming eradication of humanity, they predicted a prompt and uncontested triumph. 6 hours, the warlords insisted, watching holographic projections of human forces reduced to cosmic debris. They miscalculated, because in 7 minutes their dominion would be erased. The Walker High Council chamber throbbed with a spectral blue radiance, countless holographic displays suspended in the air, each outlining a different scenario for Earth's imminent downfall. The chamber was silent, aside from the low, resonant tone of High Regent Harlan. 6 hours. The words hung in the stillness like a forecast. 6 hours and their fortifications collapse. 6 hours and their armadas burn. 6 hours and the last human kneels before the Dominion. A wave of satisfaction coursed through the Council. The Walker had defeated 1,000 civilizations, discarding entire species like half-forgotten legends. Humans would be no exception. General Morrison, his plated torso reflecting the Council's strange luminescence, dismissed the matter with a twitch of his claws. "We are wasting effort even conversing about this. Humans are obstinate, but obstinacy becomes meaningless when confronted by undisputed supremacy." Darren, his reptilian stare narrowing as he indicated the wall map, concurred. The Dominion's 10,000 ship armada was already en route, sweeping through the expanse of space like a virulent swarm. "Commence the assault." That command sent a quiver through the hall. The Dominion's colossal battle group lunged ahead, vanishing into hyperspace. Combat was unavoidable, the conclusion was sealed. They were mistaken. The void near Jupiter churned as the Walker fleet materialized, their vast ships eclipsing the faint stars. They were lethal vessels, planet-shattering Goliaths, each one fashioned to slice through weaker civilizations like a blade through tissue. The humans, presumably lacking such weaponry, looked powerless, or so the Dominion believed. On the flagship, Caden leaned forward, his mandibles twitching while his crimson eyes honed in on the frail, trivial fleet arrayed before them. Useless. Humanity had dispatched scarcely a fragment of what any rational power would label a fleet. Caden had expected desperation, last-ditch bedlam. Instead, the humans had stationed their ships with an almost indifferent precision, like a dare without the force to sustain it. He glared at his weapons chief. "Eliminate their lead craft. Let them grasp their folly before we erase them from record." All across the Dominion task force, planet annihilator cannons hummed with surging energy, each one taking aim at its designated prey. A suspended moment, then nothing, a ripple in the emptiness, a hitch in reality itself. The monitors around Caden flared with baffling energy signatures. "Update." Noah's voice echoed through the intercom, an edge of disbelief creeping in. "Targets have vanished." Caden snapped his gaze to the view screen. The human contingent remained, and yet it did not. The targeting apparatus showed an ocean of human warships, craft that shouldn't exist, that should have been pinpointed long before the clash had begun. Impossible. Then 2,000 Dominion warships exploded in unison. Harlan scarcely had a chance to respond before an unfamiliar voice crackled across the intercom, impassive, resolute, weighing on them like the unstoppable. "You believe this was a battle?" A pause. "It isn't. This is annihilation." The voice came from Commander Wyatt Reaper Miller, the human leader. Alarm ricocheted through the Dominion. This wasn't how the Walker fought. They had never engaged phantom armadas, never been outfoxed in combat before even unleashing a barrage. They were the hunters, the inescapable force. And yet, here they fell prey from the void. Humanity didn't attack with raw power, but with precise expertise. Railgun rounds, accelerated to relativistic speeds, bypassed energy barricades and ravaged command centers before Dominion crews even grasped that they had been targeted. Dominion cruisers imploded as Tachyon artillery warped time, striking craft prior to them even achieving formation. Harlan roared in fury as another squadron vanished from the fray, obliterated before they could act. "They are stalking us," a tactical officer yelled, the truth slicing through centuries of conceit like a razor. Another detonation rocked the flagship. Caden staggered, claws cutting into the railing. How are they accomplishing this? Silence. Another frantic voice echoed, presumably from a warlord on the perimeter. We have to withdraw. Cowards. Harlan had never known terror, never experienced defeat. Yet observing his vast armada crumble within minutes, an uncanny sensation wriggled into his core. Dread. Maintain your positions. He howled, but his command drowned in the shrieking alarms. Then came the ultimate horror. A Heaven's Wrath cannon fired, a device that should not be real, that had no place in any recognized military compendium. Reality tore open. A singularity blossomed among the Dominion ranks, twisting space itself into an anguished wail. Thousands of starships were simply erased, matter stretched and consumed, their commanders gone before final words could be uttered. Caden slumped into his seat, the frenzy of the engagement dissolving into a quiet chasm of ruin. The once proud Dominion was being wiped out with methodical exactness. Humanity had not arrived for conflict, it had come to extinguish them. The intercom snapped alive once more, the voice of Commander Miller returning. High Regent Harlan. No reply. Harlan realized he had lost everything, his influence, his words. Miller's tone remained steady, unwavering. Your Dominion imagined itself everlasting, convinced it might subjugate existence itself, that it could threaten us. A pause. Now among the stars, your kind will murmur only one name. Darren strained to speak, voice barely more than a hushed breath. Which name? A laugh, devoid of humor and full of certainty. Humanity. The broadcast clicked off. Harlan felt weightlessness embrace his body as the flagship's alerts blared a final signal. Event horizon detected. The last thing he glimpsed was space twisting in on itself. The command deck was bedlam. Officers darted between dying holoscreens, their immaculate precision undone by the sheer impossibility unfolding. Caden's claws pressed into the seat of command, his breath labored, his twin hearts thudding in his chest. The fight had not spanned hours or even minutes. The Dominion's force, 10,000 ships, was unraveling in mere instants. Give me a situation update, he rasped, though there was no authority left in his demand. It was no longer an order, it was a plea. The weapons chief bared his fangs in helpless rage, flickering monitors reflecting his stunned eyes. They have, he faltered, scrambling for words. They have penetrated our systems. Every safeguard, every firewall, compromised. Caden turned to the tactical officer. Our fleet? What remains of it? A moment's pause. High Regent, we have already lost 40%. A jolt ran through Caden's body. Unthinkable. A true war between colossal powers was never decided this fast. Real warfare was a measured progression of moves and countermoves, of positions and councils. There were standards, protocols. The humans had ignored them all. A fresh explosion rattled the bridge. Backup lights flickered overhead. A voice echoed through the command channel, void of pity, grim, unyielding. 3 minutes. The entire bridge froze. Harlan recognized that presence now. The unseen specter, Wyatt Reaper Miller. Caden gripped his fists so tightly his claws cut into his palms. Who are you? Static. Then, the one who may let you live long enough to hear the screams of your people. Harlan's jaws locked, fury edging out the dawning panic. You can't eradicate an empire. Miller's reply was unwavering. Did you think I'm here to engage in some fair fight? An all-consuming quiet, like the vacuum itself swallowing the deck. No, I arrived to delete you. Then the channel ended. Harlan sprang from his seat, a feral growl tearing from his mouth. Fire everything, every cannon, missile, and fighter we possess. I want that vessel. The display changed. It took him a second to comprehend what he was seeing. The Dominion's forward turrets redirecting their aim inward. His mind refused to accept it. What? What's happening? The tactical officer sounded drained. High Regent, our ships. There. He swallowed hard. They're targeting one another. A chill of horror seized the bridge. The Dominion's formidable armada turning on itself. No, Harlan stumbled back. This can't be real. He searched the deck, hoping anyone could refute his eyes, offer a rational explanation that didn't end in the destruction of his dominion. The weapons master's voice drifted over, scarcely audible. It's their AI infiltration. They're running everything. A solitary nod, a suffocating hush. The Dominion had never been forced to watch its own fleets be taken over. A klaxon screamed. Harlan's voice cracked. Now what? The tactical officer whispered. Our own dreadnoughts just locked onto the flagship. Caden turned toward the observation window in time to witness the approaching salvo. Walker-class annihilation torpedoes, engineered to flatten entire landmasses, unleashed by his own warships. Impact, the command deck ruptured. Metal shrieked as shockwaves shredded the hull. Flames tore through corridors. Control panels erupted in sparks. Harlan hurtled from his throne and into a wall, the collision shattering bones. The shrill alarms for depressurization howled. The Walker flagship, the mightiest war vessel ever created, was meeting its end. Harlan dragged himself upright, digging his claws into a console. His vision blurred. Every remaining readout showed havoc, devastation, and ruin. His dominion was unraveling piece by piece. A final transmission stirred through the dying comm channels. "You still breathing?" Caden turned toward the sound, chest heaving. "Face me." The screens flickered, revealing him. Miller, human. Outwardly unremarkable, no grotesque implants, no monstrous robotic limbs, merely a man. But his gaze was war incarnate. Harlan bared his teeth. "You truly think this eliminates us?" Miller was impassive. "It's already over." Harlan, finding a final surge of will, hoisted himself upright. "Humanity lacks the numbers. You can't occupy what you seize. If you wipe us out, others will join forces against you." Miller's mouth twisted in a minimal smirk. "They're already frightened of us." A brief pause. "And do you know the reason?" Harlan stayed silent. Miller proceeded, voice measured and calm. "When we wage war, it's not for conquest." His eyes flashed in the dimness. "It's for oblivion." A single directive flared across the Dominion's battered networks. Primary command. AI override. Initiate final protocol. Harlan's throat constricted. "What are you doing?" The tactical officer's face slackened with dread. They engaged self-destruct on all vessels. Harlan staggered. "That's not possible." Miller's voice was hushed, conclusive. "We have no need for your dominion." Darren opened his mouth, longing for survival, pity, anything. "Wait." The initial blast tore through the Dominion's core, followed by another, then another. Everywhere, every Dominion ship that remained, each dreadnought, each cruiser, detonated in tandem. The bridge caved in. Harlan's vision wavered as the oxygen was sucked out into space. His body drifted, limbs flailing, claws grasping fruitlessly. The final image burned into his mind was Earth, distant, untouched, mocking. The last echo he perceived was Miller's voice. "You should have destroyed us when you had the chance." Then silence. Afterward, the galaxy fell quiet. The Dominion was obliterated. 1,000 species turned their gaze on Earth, and one certainty lodged in their hearts. Humanity did not engage in warfare, it delivered extinction. Space's hush reverberated with the dying echoes of an empire. Harlan had erred. The assault hadn't persisted for 6 hours. It had scarcely persisted for 6 minutes. The Dominion's fleet lay in fragments, drifting in the infinite black. The unstoppable war machine of the Walker Dominion was reduced to twisted scraps, the withered remains of an empire that once deemed itself immortal. The handful of warlords left shrieked into malfunctioning comms, desperate for guidance that would never arrive. No backup, no organized response, no rescue. One by one, their voices went silent. Humanity had ensured that. Wyatt Miller stood on the bridge of the Nemesis, his gaze fixed on the carnage. The enemy lay in ruins. The Dominion's starships, once fearsome pillars of oppression, now hovered lifeless, their systems commandeered or weaponized against them. His lieutenant, Ethan Ross, approached, speaking softly. "Your commands?" Miller did not blink. No survivors. Ross hesitated. Their few operational ships are defenseless. Some attempt to flee. Miller's cool stare settled on him. Ross swallowed. Confirmed. The final phase commenced. No quarter, no compromise. Humanity had extended the Dominion an implicit chance to avoid meddling, to leave Earth unchallenged. That chance had been refused. Now there was no alternative. Charge the Omega Array, Miller commanded. The Nemesis vibrated as the immense Planet Slayer weapon powered up, a device devised not for intimidation, but for eradication. Across the Dominion debris field, the last active vessels tried to escape, warlords screaming desperate instructions. But there was no hierarchy now, no discipline. They weren't predators anymore. They were quarry. Miller observed them scurry. He allowed it for precisely 60 seconds, then spoke. Fire. The abyss flared. The Omega Array unleashed a silent shockwave of devastation that bent space itself. Reality twisted as entire clusters of starships vanished, unraveled by inconceivable energies. Thousands were there one instant and gone the next. Miller exhaled calmly. The Walker Dominion ceased, yet their operation was incomplete. Transmit the message, he instructed. Instantly, his words reverberated on every Dominion frequency. This is Commander Wyatt Reaper Miller of Unified Human Command. His tone was firm, unyielding. You invaded our domain, planned to eradicate us, believed you had 6 hours. You were obliterated in 6 minutes. Pause. We aren't conquerors. We aren't emissaries. We don't negotiate. The next line carried the weight of uncounted dead civilizations. We are the void. We are the final. A hush, then one ultimatum. Keep out of our skies. Transmission over. Moments later, the last Dominion remnants jumped to hyperspace. They fled aimlessly, not uniting or planning retaliation, only running from humanity as far as their scarred craft could go. Miller watched them depart, granting them life so they could serve as an enduring caution to the cosmos. Ross let out a shaky breath. That was, he hunted for the correct term. Absolute. Miller's expression remained unchanged. It was justice. Ross surveyed the wreckage, then studied him. What about next? Miller pivoted from the view screen, footsteps echoing on cold metal. We prepare, he paused, voice calm, for the next fools who think they can challenge us. The galaxy said nothing. The Walker Dominion, once a powerful empire that had dragged entire worlds into submission, no longer existed. Their broken fleet was either destroyed or dispersed to the stars, a battered reminder of what befell those who menaced humanity. Wyatt Miller stood at the core of the Nemesis, eyes set on the final flickers of combat dissolving into emptiness. The mission was fulfilled. There was nothing left to claim, no final detail to settle. The Dominion hadn't been seized, it had been purged. Ethan Rose spoke next to him, his voice level but carrying an undercurrent of something indefinable. The last of them have gone to hyperspace. We can track multiple routes, but they're scattering among the outer sectors. They won't regroup, won't retaliate. Miller kept watching the blackness. They'll warn everyone else. Ross nodded. They already have. The galaxy's networks are loaded with distress signals. Every empire and faction is silent. Nobody dares to be next. A drawn-out stillness. The weight of victory pressed down, heavier than any downfall. Ross inhaled. So what now? Miller's fingers drummed lightly on the console. Now we discover who tries us next. Across countless star systems, rulers, warlords, and sovereigns sat motionless in their citadels, replaying footage of that lopsided fight. It was not simply a triumph, it redefined what war even meant. Humanity hadn't merely battled, it had outguessed, outpaced, and overshadowed a regime that had governed the stars for generations. The Dominion arrived expecting an effortless conquest, brandishing 10,000 warships to subdue any species with ease. In 7 minutes, they were gone. One by one, governments deactivated their conflict councils. Alliances shifted overnight. Expansion projects were shelved. Even the mightiest warlords paused in apprehension. Humanity wasn't just another adversary. It was something infinitely more terrifying. Hidden deep within Earth's top-secret command center, Ground Marshal Bennett analyzed the data with detached efficiency. The Dominion might have been first, but they wouldn't be last. Others would inevitably attempt the same. Ambition, greed, hunger for dominance, those were universal constants. Miller's voice spoke over a secure line. "It's finished." Bennett leaned back, face inscrutable. "Casualties?" "None." A moment of silence. Bennett allowed himself a hint of a smile. "Excellent." Miller didn't echo it. "They'll come again. Maybe not soon, but eventually." Bennett exhaled. "And we'll be waiting." Miller's voice was steady. "We'll stand ready." The channel went silent. Bennett gazed at the strategic map. The galaxy had transformed this day. The distribution of power had shifted in ways that defied prediction. Threats would persist, but one reality had emerged beyond doubt. Humanity did not lose wars, it ended them. The Dominion was dead. Their warships were destroyed or cast into the far reaches of space, no more than haunted memories of a species that once cowered no one. But there was no celebration aboard the Nemesis, no triumphant roar. This wasn't a victory in war, it was a final demonstration, a conclusive statement etched in the ruined bones of a fallen empire. Miller stood in the ops center, watching the last Dominion signals fade from the battlefield. They were fleeing, scurrying off like scared animals, realizing they'd never been the hunter at all. Ross approached, speaking with a gravity beyond simple protocol. "Recovery teams confirm zero hostile presence. The field is ours." Miller didn't avert his gaze. "It always was." Ross hesitated, dropping his voice. This wasn't just winning, this was a warning. Miller finally turned, his look unreadable. "That's precisely why we did it." Ross's features tightened. "And if a future empire tries us again?" Miller's expression remained constant. "We replicate this." Ross clenched his jaw yet nodded. Both knew the truth. This wouldn't be the last time. The galaxy rarely remembered lessons for long. A light on the console flashed. Headquarters was sending a confidential signal. Miller didn't need to confirm the origin. He already knew. He answered. Bennett's voice came through, calm, unwavering. "It's complete." Miller offered a terse nod. "Yes." Bennett lingered before adding, "Others will come." "You understand that?" Miller's sigh was barely audible. "They will." Bennett leaned back in some fortified war room on Earth, blanketed in star charts detailing a cosmos still too unwise to fear the correct threat. "Think they'll heed our example?" Miller stared out at the drifting remnants, the final cinders of a Dominion that humanity had crushed. "They don't need to." A long lull. Then Bennett spoke the words both men knew too well. That wasn't a conflict, it was extermination. Miller didn't blink. "Exactly." Bennett scrutinized him momentarily, then gave a short nod. "Coordinate your redeployment. Debrief intelligence. A full assessment is required within the hour." Miller ended the transmission. Ross inhaled behind him. "That's it then." Miller glanced into the dark vacuum where an empire once claimed omnipotence. "That's all for now."